Hello TMGT 512 students, this is Dr. Aiden. We are on chapter 4 of your textbook and this is week 5 of the semester. So what is this week's topic? It's individual differences and traits. So impact of individual differences and traits on the leadership. The objectives, you can see the objectives on this slide. Okay, so discussing the impact of individual different characteristics on leadership, identifying impact of values on leadership, what is the relationship between abilities and skills? Okay, what are abilities, what are skills? There are two different things. Now we will focus on what are the differences and then highlighting the role of key personality traits that are proved to be related to leadership, such as the Big Five, the proactive personality, type A, self-monitoring, and the dark trait. Please go over this leadership question and think about it a few seconds and then try to write your answers down. It's going to help you. When you try to write something down, it's going to help you think about it more rather than just thinking in your brain for a few seconds and passing. Give a few minutes, think about it, and then try to write your answer down. And then at the end of the lecture, you will see what is the answer, what is the textbook answer for this question. So, how the individual differences affect leadership? First of all, you know from previous lecture that there are not certain personality traits that guarantees effective leadership. Of course, some traits are good to be a leader. Wouldn't it be good to be very creative, to have a high IQ? Okay. I mean, of course they are good, but they don't guarantee effective leadership. Okay, just looking at personality traits, you cannot guarantee effective leadership. So this is very important. But of course, some researchers found a few personality traits, some personality traits, abilities, skills that actually help you on being an effective leadership. First of all, your heredity and environmental factors influence your individual characteristics. Okay, so your individual characteristics related to leadership are created by heredity and environmental factors. Heredity is your genes, your race, ethnicity, gender, environmental factors, your culture, okay, the education you got, your parents, your friends, your close family, and the physical environment you have been living in. These all affects, together with heredity, your individual characteristics. What are these individual characteristics? Values, demographic factors, abilities versus skills, and personality traits. And all these characteristics, your own individual characteristics, impact your leadership style and behavior. Okay? And remember, you have some individual characteristics, but not in all situations you will be able to follow these characteristics. In some situations, you have to try to change your leadership style. Okay, that's when you are out of your comfort zone. Okay, so in some situations you will be out of your comfort zone. Just think that the very simple example. Let's say you are a shy person, you don't like discussions, okay, but the class requires you to discuss. Okay, so then you are on your zone of discomfort. But can you escape from your duty? No, you have to do it, but you will do it in your zone of discomfort, which will give you anxiety, okay, stress, but you still have to perform. You're expected to perform. So leaders face this situation a lot, okay? They face situations that they have to behave, they have to lead in their uncomfort zone. And this happened a lot to all leaders, okay? Now let's start going over these individual characteristics. First one is demographic characteristics, okay? For example, your textbook gives good examples from United States leaders characteristics. You can make a research for your countries. Since majority of our students are from India, you can make a little research on what are the Indians leaders demographic characteristics, okay? And researchers found that United States leaders are very similar in terms of birthplace, religion, education, social class, gender, and race, okay? But the thing is, homogeneity may negatively affect ability to innovate. Because when there is not enough diversity, when everything is homogeneous, you cannot look at problems from different perspectives, which means you cannot create enough solution alternatives. The second individual characteristic is values. Values are basically long-lasting beliefs about right and wrong, okay? The main factor that affects your value system is the culture. And then the other factors are personality, your gender, your ethnicity, and generational differences, okay? Also, generational differences is a big factor in your values. Your grandparents' beliefs on right and wrong are very different than your beliefs today in what is right and what is wrong. Just think about it. In a very simple situation, how your grandparents or your parents think is different than how you're thinking, most likely. And this is because of the generational differences, okay? You value stuff differently than the previous generations. This is a very good study talking about generational differences in values, okay? Read this in detail from the textbook. It shows you these are the ages, like 60 or older than 60 years old, 50 to 65, and younger than 30. How their values change. Okay, this is very interesting. Just read it from your textbook. Now, the next individual characteristics that affect your leadership style and behaviors is abilities or skills. What is the difference between ability and skills? Well, abilities are stable because they are natural talent for doing something. You were born with this ability. On the other hand, a skill is an acquired talent, okay, developed for a specific task. So when you are hired for a job, you can still improve your skills related to job by training, experience, guidance from your supervisors. So skills can be improved. Your skills can be decreased too, okay? If you don't work on them, you might lose them. But an ability is just a natural talent. It's stable. And both of them affects your leadership styles. So important abilities in terms of leadership, intelligence, practical intelligence, and emotional intelligence. As I said, this is a brief summary of the lecture, okay? Your responsibility is listening to this video, reading this PowerPoint lecture, and then going back to textbook chapter, and then read it in detail because your textbook gives a lot of examples for every single thing I say here, okay? So if you just listen to this video lecture and just watch the PowerPoint lecture, do not think that it's going to be enough to fully, comprehensively understand the topic. You have to read your textbook. Emotional intelligence, developed by Goldman. He proposed 5 characteristics under emotional intelligence, which is, first one is self-awareness, knowing who you are, your emotions, self-regulation, being able to manage your emotions. If you are someone who gets stressed easily, can you manage that stress? Okay, that's self-regulation. Self-motivation is being able to remain optimistic Positive. This is very important in a leadership situation, okay? You have to remain positive. If you don't remain positive, you cannot allow your followers to remain positive. And then you need to have empathy for others. So you need to be able to understand your followers' emotions. I'm not saying you have to respond to their emotions all the time, because sometimes you have to behave like a task-oriented leader. But empathy is important. And then interpersonal and social skills. I don't even need to explain this. It's basically being able to build and maintain relationships. Building a relationship, okay, important, but maintaining a relationship is also very important as a leader. And then another ability is creativity. Is creativity a skill or ability? Of course, it's an ability, right? You cannot learn to be creative. Either you are born to be creative or not. So creativity is the ability to bring something new and useful into reality. Creativity is creating something new. Characteristics of creative leaders listed by Sternberg and Lubert. Read this and understand from your textbook. It gives good explanations of these. Okay. And now what are skills? There are 3 categories of skills: technical, interpersonal, conceptual. This is very important. Okay. Technical skills are basically knowledge of the job methods, the techniques. Okay. Interpersonal skills are knowledge of effective communication, conflict management, effective negotiation, effective team building. And then the highest part of the triangle, conceptual skills are knowledge of problem solving, logical thinking, reasoning. Okay, this is a very important graph. Look, your leadership skills, and then level of leadership. As you can see, the leaders who has conceptual skills are the ones who are going to be upper manager. Okay, the main leaders, top leaders. Those who have only technical skills, the maximum you can go is a supervisory position, but nobody is going to promote you to middle or upper management. Then there are the last category of the individual characteristics is personality traits. Okay, this is very simple. Traits are like your attributes, your characteristics, and they are stable over time and across situations. It develops early in your life, and it's very, very hard to change. As I said, in the trait era, researchers try to correlate some personality traits against leadership, but they were not successful. But of course, they found that some traits are good to be a leader, but it doesn't guarantee you to be an effective leader. So the main ones are a drive, motivation to lead, integrity, self-confidence, intelligence, and knowledge of the business. So big 5 personality traits. This is by the study of Norman. Conscientiousness, extroversion, introversion, openness. Please go to your textbook and understand what these are, especially the one that I put a star. This is going to be an exam question. It's very important. And then another trait is a proactive personality. What is being proactive versus reactive? Proactive personalities, leaders with proactive personalities identify opportunities, take initiatives, control. They remove obstacles and unconstrained by situations. They plan in advance. They have this personality to plan in advance. But reactive personality, they only get into action in the last minute or even later than that, okay, when it's too late. So having a proactive personality is very important to be a leader. And then some researchers talked about type A characteristics. They have high need for control. They want to do more in less and less time. They are very competitive. They are very time urgency minded. So some of their work-related behaviors are poor delegation. They like to work by themselves. They jump into actions quickly without thinking much. Their goals are very high level. They are hardworking, but since they are very they put too much pressure on themselves, they experience more stress. Okay, so basically type A characteristic might not be a good personality trait for leaders. And then there are high self-monitors. Please understand, read this slide, and then you will see what high self-monitor leaders are. The dark triad actually focuses on the negative properties of leaders. In your textbook, it gives an example about Hitler. Please try to understand that example. Okay, so basically this is a leadership class, and you have to read your textbook to understand all the detailed examples for these. And this is the answer to the leadership question. Please read this, and if you have any discussion, you can post it on the course webpage. If you don't agree with this textbook answer, post it on discussion question answer form in the website. I will be glad to read it and then leave my comment on it. Okay, thank you guys. Have a great week.